Joseph Campbell said, "Follow your bliss. If you do follow your bliss, you will put yourself on a kind of track that has been there all the while waiting for you. And the life you ought to be living is the one you are living. When you see that, you begin to meet people who are in the field of your bliss, and they open the doors to you. I say, follow your bliss and don't be afraid, and doors will open where you didn't know where they were going to be. If you follow your bliss, doors will open for you that wouldn't have opened for anyone else." These are the words founding director and conductor Albert Coleman spoke on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the Atlanta Pops Orchestra. Little did I realize how true those reflections of Joseph Campbell would prove to be when I started the Atlanta Pops concerts. Little did I know how successful they would become, how many years they would last, how much work they would give musicians, how many breaks they would give to amateur talent, and how much pleasure they would give to thousands and thousands of Atlantans to be able to go free of charge to these wonderful concerts. How we would play for so many opening events and historical events. For way back in 1945, I simply wanted to share music with all who would listen. So, I followed my bliss. Coleman was brought to Atlanta to assume the post of music director for WSB Radio in 1944. He had a drive time show from 4 to 6 p.m. every evening. He also had a midnight show during which he played violin, Francis Wallace, organ, Betty Ream, vocalist, and poetry read by Frank Parson. Using funds he put aside from his WSB budget, he created the WSB Symphonette, later to become the Atlanta Pops Orchestra. Through the auspices of the city, the Fox Theater, and the Musicians Performance Trust Fund of the American Federation of Musicians, and to quote Coleman, any other sponsor I could find, the orchestra began giving free concerts at the Fox Theater. Patrons who came to the concerts could then remain and purchase tickets for a movie. They packed the audiences in night after night. The Atlanta Pops Orchestra played its first concert on Sunday, July 29, 1945, at Emory's Glen Memorial Auditorium. It was attended by then Mayor William B. Hartsfield, among others. In the late 40s, the Pops gave concerts at military bases for soldiers who were departing for overseas. Throughout the 1950s, the Atlanta Pops, under Coleman's direction, continued to do free concerts at the Fox, subsidized by the City of Atlanta, the Musicians Performance Trust Fund, and the Fox Theater. At the height of Coleman's tenure, the orchestra had 55 musicians and 30 singers. In 1952, the Atlanta Pops opened Chastain Amphitheater, where it became a resident orchestra. The Constitution the next morning read, "Greatest throng in Atlanta concert history fill amphitheater to capacity to hear the Atlanta Pops." The Atlanta Journal evening newspaper published a photograph and the headline, "9,000 turnout for amphitheater concert." Through the years, many famous people have appeared with the orchestra. In 1973, at WSB's 25th anniversary gala, the Pops performed with Bob Hope, Steve Allen, Dinah Shore, Jackie Cooper, Burt Reynolds, Charlie Rich, and Bobby Rydell. In 1980, the Pops performed at the opening ceremony for the new Hartsfield International Airport, and in 1981, the opening of the Georgia Power Building. In 1982, Albert Coleman and the Atlanta Pops recorded the album Just Hooked on Country for Epic Records, which also featured Chet Atkins, Boots Randolph, and Floyd Kramer. Looking back, you can see how diverse the musical genres played by this wonderful orchestra highlighted every concert. In 1995, the 50th anniversary of the Pops was celebrated with a concert back at the Fox Theater. Music on that concert ranged from Giuseppe Verdi's Caro Nome from his opera Rigoletto, a sophisticated hoedown which Coleman wrote himself, Frank Wildhorn's This Is the Moment from the musical Jekyll and Hyde, to selections from Gershwin's Porgy and Bess and John Williams' Star Wars. In 2002, John Head, the retired principal trumpet for the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, became the second conductor of the Atlanta Pops. In addition, he did the arrangements for the concerts. In 2004, he took the Atlanta Pops to Taiwan for a 3-week tour, performing at the National Concert Hall in Taipei and the cultural centers in Kowloon, Taichung, and Pinggu. In 2010, conductor Dr. Jason Altieri took the baton and became the music director. Since he began, the orchestra is growing and has appeared in many venues for the first time. According to his biography, Dr. Altieri is also a strong advocate for young musicians through his position as director of orchestras at the University of Nevada and with guest conducting engagements with youth orchestras all over the United States. Throughout the spring and summer of 2015, the Atlanta Pops traveled the southern states, performing in venues such as the Cottrell Ranch in Dahlonega, Georgia, the Norton Auditorium on the campus of the University of North Alabama in Muscle Shoals, the Newberry Opera House in Newberry, South Carolina, and the Dixie Carter Performing Arts Center in Huntington, Tennessee. The music for these concerts showcased the versatility of the orchestra, including Emmanuel Chabrier's Marche Joyeuse, George Gershwin's Embraceable You, and Kernan Hammerstein's All the Things You Are. Selections from Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera and Ronan Hardiman's Lord of the Dance. The programs also highlighted songs distinctive to the American South, including Ray Baduch and Bob Haggert's South Rampart Street and Jay Unger's Ashokan Farewell. Within the past year, the Atlanta Pops Orchestra has formed a partnership with the South Cobb Arts Alliance, performing 2 concerts at the Maple House Barnes Amphitheater, the first with Craig A. Meyer in an Elton John tribute production, and the second with Irish singer Chloe Agnew of the internationally acclaimed music group Celtic Woman. The program, Chloe Agnew, An Irish Heart, consisted of Irish songs, standards, Broadway musicals, and movie melodies. They are currently recording a CD, In the Spirit, a celebration of the holidays, due out in December, with recording artist John Driscoll Hopkins of the Zac Brown Band. The disc will feature 12 Christmas classics in Wes Funderburk's brand new arrangements. Other guest artists on the recording include the Indigo Girls, Laura Bell Bundy, and the celebrated bluegrass group Balsam Range. The album will be sold online at johndriscollhopkins.com and atlantapops.com and at Atlanta Pops concerts during the holiday season. The future of the Atlanta Pops Orchestra is exciting. Marketing director and percussionist Kevin Leahy says, "I would love to see the Atlanta Pops continue to evolve into an exciting performing group, developing unique programs that highlight our history and showcase Atlanta's diverse artists in country, folk, hip-hop, jazz, musical theater, blues, Celtic, bluegrass, and classical and other styles. I would also love the Atlanta Pops to become known for this type of diversity and agility outside the region, so that out-of-town artists will seek to enlist us as partners when they come to Atlanta to perform or to record. My hope is that the shows we do expose residents of Atlanta and other areas in Georgia to orchestral music and perhaps increases the playing opportunities for the great musicians here. And eventually, I'd love for the Pops to carve out a spot in the thriving film production scene in Georgia, recording soundtracks for movies filmed here." Conductor Jason Altieri predicts Atlanta has become a major destination in all forms of entertainment, and the Atlanta Pops Orchestra will continue to grow and lead the way as the arts evolve in the South and in the United States. The entire orchestra, crew, management, and conductor Jason Altieri know the future will be exciting, challenging, and extremely musical. We can promise you seasons filled with diverse music, community support, and wonderful concerts. Come see us as often as you can for fabulous experiences you are sure to remember.